Today I'm joined by a very special young woman. Her name is Tia, all the way from Fiji. This year I've helped to author a book called The Disruptive Voices of Fijian Women. It's 10 stories of women who have experienced abuse or porn addiction in their life, and the aim of the book is to really disrupt a lot of the silence around these issues and bring light into them so that we might be able to help other women in the future. So thank you, Tia, for joining me.
I'm glad to be here.
You're one of the really courageous, bold women in the book. In fact, you're chapter 9. Your name is Joanna, but your real name is Tia, and you've been happy to be identified. So thank you for your courage in sharing your story.
Thank you. I'm deeply honored to be part of the book.
So, you know, the book is stories of abuse, but why I included stories of those struggling with pornography is because they're so interlinked, and porn fuels a lot of the abuse and the domestic violence, and is not just a big struggle for men, but as women. And so you've really shared your journey of struggling with porn. So why did you decide that you wanted to write your story for this book?
Right about that time when I was in school, I was introduced to this page, Fiji Free from Pornography, last year, and a friend of mine actually shared his journey before me, and along with other powerful men and women who came out and shared their story. So I was inspired to share mine, and also I had this conviction in my heart to share my story. And in the process, after doing so, I was amazed at how much I was healed by sharing that part of me that has been in the dark for quite a long time.
Yeah, can you explain that a bit more? Because quite often what stops people from sharing is the shame. They're afraid of what people will think of them. But how did you find healing from sharing your story?
Because for a long time, I was ashamed and I felt guilty of having to watch pornography more often. And then at some point in my life, I felt like I was addicted. And then I was actually trying to find a way where I could like escape this drug, because it felt like a drug, and it has the same stimulation of how a drug affects a addicted person. Like you would keep going back and forth with it. So in the process of sharing my story, there was an impeccable exchange of shame and guilt. Like there was a movement from shame to healing. So I felt that impact, in that part of me was released from me. And though I must say that not immediately you will feel free or you'll feel healed, but eventually, gradually, after so much realization and evaluation of what I wrote and why I shared my story, I came to an understanding that I have made a big impact, not only in other people's life, but also my life.
So what has been the response to you speaking out, and especially putting it on writing, and in a book that is going around many nations now, and will definitely come to Fiji? What's been the response from family or friends in your world?
After writing the story and also after having that interview, the first interview, a lot of responses were positive. And though I must say that different people have different perspective of how they see you or how they view you. And especially after talking about something that is very sensitive here in Fiji, and I believe also in all around the world. And the fact that I came out and after sharing it, a lot of the responses were positive. Some were negative because having to lack the understanding of why I shared the story. And therefore, as a result, their responses were all justified. Whether it was positive or whether it was negative, it was all justified, because I came to an understanding that people have different perspective of how they see things and how they conclude things. Therefore, it's okay whether they see you as a bad person or as a good person. It is on them how they want to view a person or how they want to judge a person. But it is important for us that are sharing our stories to understand that different people have different perspectives.
And I guess at the end of the day, you've got to know clearly why you're sharing and why you're speaking up about this. And because it's not for everyone, but it's so important that we do have people who speak up, because as I've been getting around Australia to the Fijian community, quite often they're shocked to hear that women in Fiji struggle with porn. Australians are still shocked that women struggle with porn. We think it's just a male issue, but especially in Fiji where it's not talked about at all. So by you speaking up, it's really shining a light on this issue. I mean, how prevalent is porn viewing among females in Fiji?
So far, no studies or research has been done to show how many Fijian women or girls struggle with pornography. There is no specific statistics as to be really sure of how many women struggle with it. But I must add that here in Fiji, as well as in other countries, that hardly you will meet people that will come up to you and say that they're struggling with porn. And I suppose that it's the shame and the guilt that's wrapped around it. People will hardly acknowledge the fact that they're struggling with addiction to pornography, solely because of the taboo, not to talk about it, because it's a sensitive topic. And here we are expected to bury it and deal with it on our own, even if we're addicted to it. So I believe that if we talk about it, people will start to come out of their fears of being judged and walk in the freedom of not having to keep the shame in their system. And I believe a lot of women here in Fiji will agree with me on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It damages not just your spirit, but your body, your soul, every part of you. And you're right, there are no specific research around Fiji and women and porn watching, but there is worldwide research out there now, and they're saying it's about 1 in every 3 women are visitors to porn sites. And so that's a huge number, and that's inside the church and outside the church. And the porn industry is going after our girls now because it knows it has the boys. So we need to be checking in on our girls. And you mentioned in your chapter just how your parents were very conservative, very protective. Was there something that they could have done to help protect you from seeing porn, or at least warning you, or were they just fully unaware that this was an issue?
They were just fully unaware that it was an issue that I was struggling with, and more that there was a time that we brought it up into the table of discussion, discuss about the issues that we've been struggling with. It's just like, you deal with it, that's it. And I didn't have the courage then or the confidence then to tell them that I was struggling with it.
And that's why we launched Fiji Free from Porn last year, and was to really help parents understand the hugeness of the issue and to be able to have these conversations. We can't keep silent about it. And I'm not going to go into details of your story because we want to encourage people to get the book, read it, and also read the other stories to just keep disrupting the silence. But as we finish, what is one piece of advice that you'd like to give to women and girls of Fiji who might be struggling with the issue of pornography?
To all my sisters out there, do not be afraid to share your story, because there's power in sharing your story, because not only is your story powerful, but the healing that comes with it is more powerful than you could ever imagine. And if you don't have anyone to share with, the shame and the guilt that you've been going through, you can start with God, because He is always ready to hear and always ready to listen to whatever we're going through. And just know that everyone has a story. I believe that regardless of what ethnicity you're from, or what age you are, or who you are, whether you're rich or you're poor, everyone has a story, and you are not alone. On that note, we should also expect people to judge us, even till this time. It is in our human nature to always say something about someone or something. And it's called perspective. Like we always have something to say about how we view things and how we always want to conclude things in our brains. And that's okay. Different people have different perspective of how they see you. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I was judged. And though some didn't have the guts to say it in front of my face, it made me realize that regardless of what I do, whether it be good or whether it be bad, people will always have something to say. And for those that have been convicted to share the story, it's okay to come up, it's okay to give a voice to their story, because there's power in your story. And you wouldn't really know how powerful your story is now, but there will come a time that you will realize how powerful your story is. And to my sisters who are struggling right now with domestic violence, abuse, stress, depression, anxiety, insecurities, don't stop fighting, sis. You know that you are most powerful being God has ever created in this earth. And you are powerful, you are strong, and you are gonna fight this through no matter what. Because the suffering that you endure today is nothing compared to the joy that's coming. And that's all that I just want to share to all my sisters out there who wanna share their story. And this is for you.
Thank you for being a voice. Thank you for disrupting the silence, and may God use you to bring a lot of light across your nation.
Thank you.